These are notes for section 7.2. Okay, so today we'll be doing the quadratic formula. Here's the quadratic formula. In the book, it's on page 368. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so you use this whenever you have any equation in standard form. Okay, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, which is just a fancy way of saying everything is on one side equal to 0. You have the x squared first, and then the x, and then the number equals 0. Then I plug into this thing. Okay, I'll be showing you lots of examples of how to do that. Okay, 7.2, 1 to 47 odd, page 375. So there are some problems there. And up to 45 or 47. Okay, you can see those. And the answers in the back. 7.2. 7.2. Move it over a little bit more. Yeah, I think you can see all of them there. Okay. So we're doing a quadratic formula. Number 1, x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. In case you're wondering, can you do this by factoring? Yes, you'll get the same answer. Can I do this by completing the square? Yes, you'll get the same answer. Okay, this is in standard form, so just pluck out the a, b, and c. A is 1, you understand that there's a 1 there, and b is 5, and c is 6. So the formula is negative b, so negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared is 25, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 6, all over 2 times a. Okay, this is 25 minus 24, scratch paper here. So I'm taking the square root of 1. The square root of 1 is 1. So I have negative 5 plus or minus 1 over 2. So I just work them both out. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So negative 3 and negative 2. And yes, this is just to show you could have done it by factoring. X plus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. So x is negative 3, negative 2. Factoring is much faster if you can factor. Maybe you can't factor, but you can always do completing the square last time, and you can always do the quadratic formula. 5, oh, too messy. Let me get rid of the fractions. So common denominator 6, 2, and 3. Multiply both sides by 6. Makes the problem much easier. Okay, so 6 times this, 6 times 0 is 0. So it comes out to be 6 times 1, 6 is 1. So I have x squared. 6 times negative a half x is negative 3x. 6 times 1/3 is 2. Much nicer. A is 1, b is negative 3, c is 2. Plug into the formula. X is negative b, positive 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 9, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 2, all over 2 times a, 2 times 1. Underneath the radical, I have 9 minus 8, which is 1. So 3 plus or minus the square root of 1. Square root of 1 is 1. So 3 plus or minus 1 divided by 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, this one, 30x squared plus 40x equals 0. Let me factor out a 10, make the problem a little bit nicer. 10 times 3x squared plus 4x equals 0. Divide by 10, and it's gone. So a is 3, b is 4. I don't see anything for c, so you pretend it's a 0. C equals 0. So by quadratic formula, x is negative b, so negative 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is 0. That's nice. This cancels out. All over 2 times a, 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Square root of 16 is 4. So negative 4 plus or minus 4. So negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8 over 6, which is negative 4/3. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. 0 divided by 6 is 0. So my two solutions are negative 4/3 and 0. All right, just like whenever you have a chance to get rid of the fractions, do so. If I have a chance to get rid of the decimals, I'll get rid of decimals also. So number 15, let me multiply both sides by 100. Makes it look nicer. X squared plus 6x minus 8 equals 0. Much nicer. So A is 1, B is 6, C is -8. Throw it into the quadratic formula. So x is -b, -6, plus or minus square root b squared, 36, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -8. So I have a double negative, so I made them positive. Scratch paper, 36 plus 32 is 68. So -6 plus or minus the square root of 68 all over 2. 68 is 4 times 17. So I write it like this, and then the square root of 4 will come outside and become a 2. So -6 plus or minus 2 radical 17 divided by 2. Okay, and you can divide 2 into each of these. That's allowed. So -6 divided by 2 is -3, plus or minus 2 radical 17 divided by 2. 2's cancel out. So -3 plus or minus radical 17. 17, it isn't in proper form yet. You must have everything on one side equal to 0, and the x squared is first, and then the x, and then the number. So I add 2x squared to both sides, write it like this, 2x squared plus 2x plus 3 equals 0. Then I'm good to go. So my a is 2, b is 2, c is 3. Quadratic formula. X is -b, -2, plus or minus square root, b squared, 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3, over 2a, 2 times 2. Okay, in red scratch here, I have 4 minus 4 times 2 times 3 is 24. So 4 minus 24 is a -20. There's going to be an I. So -2 plus or minus radical 20 over 4. Negative comes outside, becomes an I. Okay. 20 happens to be 4 times 5. I want 4 because it's a perfect square. So write it like this. Square root of 4 comes outside, becomes a 2. So -2 plus or minus 2i radical 5 over 4. Since I see an even here, even here, even here, you can reduce. So factor out the 2 on top. 2 parentheses, -1 plus or minus I radical 5 over 4. Cancel the 2 with the 4, leaving me with a 2 in the bottom. -1 plus or minus I radical 5 all over 2. Okay, 25 is a lot harder. Before you start, you got to put it in standard form. So x plus 3 squared, work that out. X squared plus 6x plus 9 using the formula. X minus 8, x minus 1, FOIL that out. X squared minus 9x plus 8. And then 16, subtract 16 on this side, because again, on this side, you're supposed to have a 0. Combine like terms. 2x squared, there it is. -3x, there it is. 9 plus 8 minus 16 is 1. Okay, so this is my standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 that I was alluding to. Okay, it's got to be something with x squared, something with x, then a number. So this is my a, b, and c. So a is 2, b is -3, c is 1. Okay, so x is equal to -b. That's negative a -3, which is +3, plus or minus the square root of b squared. -3 squared is 9, minus 4ac, 4 times 2a, times c, which is 1, all over 2a, 2 times 2. 9 minus 8, which is 1. Seen that before. 3 plus or minus square root of 1 is 1 over 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 over 4 is 1. Okay, 19. Numbers are way too big. Let's factor out 100. 100 parentheses, x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Much, much nicer. In fact, you can divide both sides by 100 and it's gone. So why don't I just forget about the 100? X squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. So a is 1, b is -2, c is 1. Throw it into the formula. X is -b, negative a -2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 4, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 1, all over 2a, 2 times 1. But look at this, it's 4 minus 4, which is 0. 2 plus or minus square root of 0 divided by 2. Square root of 0 is 0. So I really only have one solution because 2 minus 0 and 2 plus 0 are both 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So normally you would say you have two solutions because of the plus and the minus. In this particular case, because you have plus or minus 0, well, it doesn't matter if you add 0 or subtract 0, it just stays the same. So we only have one solution. Okay, now we have much harder problem, 29. 1 over x plus 1 minus 1 over x equals 1 over 2. Too many fractions, so multiply both sides by the common denominator, which is just put everything together, 2x, x plus 1. 2x, x plus 1, 2x, x plus 1. Distribute. If you take this times this, you just have 2x. If you take all of this times this, x cancels out. You have 2 parentheses x plus 1. And on the right side, the 2's cancel out, x times x plus 1. Still kind of complicated, but at least there's no more fraction. Distribute. 2x minus 2 equals x squared plus x. These conveniently cancel out. Add 2 to both sides. So I have 0 on the left, but I will rewrite it with 0 on the right side. It's the same thing, x squared plus x plus 2. So a is 1, b is 1, c is 2. So x is negative b, negative 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 2, all over 2 times a. So I have 1 minus 8, which is negative 7. So negative 1 plus or minus radical negative 7 over 2. Take out the minus sign. Negative 1 plus or minus I radical 7 all over 2. 37, you're going to actually have 3 solutions. X cubed minus 8 equals 0. So write this first as x cubed minus 2 cubed. Use the formula for the difference of cubes. X minus 2, x squared plus 2 times x plus 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, so you already have x equals 2 as a solution. And now to solve this, quadratic formula. So x is negative b, a is 1, b is 2, c is 4. So negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared, 2 squared is 4, minus 4ac, 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4, all over 2a, 2 times 1. This is 4 minus 16, which is negative 12. So I'm going to have an I. So take out the negative and it becomes negative 2 plus or minus I radical 12 over 2. Okay, 12 is 4 times 3. So take out the 4, it becomes a 2. So negative 2 plus or minus 2 radical I radical 3 over 2. Cancel the 2 here, cancel the 2 here. So negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Plus or minus, cancel I radical 3. And don't forget the 2 that we originally had way back up at the beginning over here. So my 3 solutions are 2, the nice one, and then the not nice ones are negative 1 plus or minus I radical 3. And finally, 45. 3y to the 4th equals 6y cubed minus 6y squared. Put everything on one side. 3y to the 4th minus 6y cubed plus 6y squared equals 0. Factor out of 3y squared. So 3y squared, y squared minus 2y plus 2 equals 0. So this means y equals 0. That's finished. This one, quadratic formula. A is 1, b is negative 2, c is 2. So y is negative b, negative 2, positive 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, negative 2 squared is 4, minus 4ac, 4 times a, which is 1, c, which is 2, over 2a, 2 times 1. Scratch paper in red, that's 4 minus 8, which is a negative 4. Square root of negative 4, take out the negative. 2 plus or minus I radical 4 divided by 2. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus or minus 2i over 2. All right, so draw this little separation bar. So y is equal to 0, or 2 divided by 2 is 1, plus or minus 2 divided by 2 is 1i or I. So y equals 0, or 1 plus or minus I. All right, so this was section 7.2.